Hello, everyone. If you are now watching this video, I'm here live. We're going to be starting within the next 5 minutes, but I just want to let you know that I'm here and that we will be starting very soon. I'm just really excited for session number 2, and I'll be setting this up really quick, setting the slides up for today's session. But welcome, get yourself settled in. Get a notepad if you'd like to take notes for this. Feel free to do that. And we'll get started. Okay, we're going to be getting started very soon here. I'm just trying to get this thing going here so that we can all see what I'm seeing here. Okay, so what you should be seeing on your screen right now are the slides for what we're going to be working on. I'm just trying to see if this is working, so stand by. Okay, so this is not going. One sec, guys. Okay, so we have about 2 minutes. What you should be seeing on your screen now is a blue screen that says launch session number 2. That is what we'll be working on for the webinar today. We're going to get started within the next minute or so. Okay, everybody, welcome. Today is Saturday, March the 7th, and it is 12 p.m. Pacific time, my time. It's on my watch, and I want to welcome you here today. Thank you so much for taking your Saturday afternoon to participate in the second session of the launch series. really, it's been quite exciting for me to have the opportunity to really develop and share myself when it comes to creating your vision, planning strategically, and really what it really looks like to have your business go to a whole new level. So really, thank you for that opportunity. This particular session is specifically intended for planning strategically, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But I just want to quickly do a summary of what we actually talked about last week in our first session. And if you can remember, in the last week's session, what we said that we were doing was taking on being a coach in your business and in the way you operate your business. So there's something about being a coach in terms of how you view what there is for you to do and handle, how you take on everything that you're taking on with your business and with the people around you. What would it be like if you were a top-notch coach performing in your business? The second thing that we created was developing a 5-year vision that breathes life into your company mission, that also breathes life into your yearly, quarterly, and weekly visions. So we stress the importance of creating a 5-year vision that inspired you, that was developing a 5-year vision that really was something unconstrained of the past, unconstrained of what you think is really possible or not possible, just creating a vision that really inspired you 5 years from now, so standing in 2020. We also talked about developing a vision for your company that was all around making the world a better place, and that was all around how is what you're doing contributing to all those people around you, making the world a better place. We said that your company mission and your 5-year vision worked together in developing a vision for your year, for your quarter, and every time you walked into your week. So that was as well what we covered in the first session. And the last thing was that we distinguished that the kinds of visions that you want to create for yourself are really required, and they're required all the time. So it's not like you do something one time and you expect that to stick, but rather taking the time to create what you're up to in the work that you're doing is required. So that was a summary of the first session. I also want to inform you that one of the things that you want to be doing at this point, if you have any questions, feel free to send a comment on the Facebook comment section at the bottom of this page if you have any questions or if you have any problems. If for some reason you can't use the Facebook comment, of course, you're more than welcome to send me a message. Right now, I see that all coast is clear. I see all of you that are participating. Thank you for being here. And for those of you that are watching this recording, participate as if this was something that you were doing live. Really take it to heart, and let's get going. So today's session is on strategic planning. And strategic planning is super important. In fact, when I talk to the entrepreneurs that I speak to, and when we begin to work together and we begin to create their businesses and what it's going to take for them to take their business to a whole new level, perhaps one of the biggest pitfalls is that a lack of strategic planning. And it's a lack of planning for being successful, or lack of planning for what you're giving your word to, you could say. Planning strategically literally will give you peace of mind as an entrepreneur. Planning strategically is necessary. It's something that you want to have there living for yourself every single day. It's what's giving your actions. It's something that never stops. So it's similar to how you create your vision that never stops. As well, planning strategically is something that never stops. You're going to notice in today with what we're creating, it's very similar. We're going to plan yearly, we're going to plan quarterly, we're going to plan, et cetera, weekly. and we're going to plan every 5 weeks, and we're going to get into the details of what specifically you want to be planning for strategically with what you're doing. Planning strategically is something that you want to tend to and operate with integrity with. So we're going to talk about, it's not like you plan for something one time and then that's it. In fact, your plan and your strategic plan for your business is something that you need to be tending to constantly and tending to it with integrity. You want to be planning yearly. So we're going to start with the year plan, and you always want to be planning for the next year out. So one of the people that I work with, he's masterful at planning yearly. In fact, one of the things that we're creating right now is we're beginning to plan for 2016 right now. I know it sounds a little crazy, but that's what we're starting to plan for at this time. Given that all of 2015 is planned for, you're standing at the end of 2015 and you can see yourself to, wow, I've accomplished all of these things, or here's what I've taken on in my business and here's what I've accomplished. So it starts with a yearly plan and a yearly set of milestones or actions, things that really forwarded your business, going into planning quarterly. So then we're going to break up the year into quarters. There's quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. We're getting ready to get into the second quarter of the year. So second quarter of the year is coming up. We only have about 2 weeks left in the first quarter. So what an prime opportunity to begin to plan for your quarterly milestones. And then there's planning every 5 weeks, every week, and daily inside of your quarterly targets. And we're going to talk about this shortly. So your yearly strategic planning meeting, you're going to have a meeting with yourself where you're going to plan strategically every year. And if you haven't done 2015, this is a perfect opportunity to do it. Really take the time to look at yourself between now and December 31st. There you are, standing on New Year's Eve. And what did you conquer? And ask yourself that. Here you are, it's the end of 2015, going into 2016. And what did you accomplish? What did you set for yourself to accomplish that you did, or that you caused a real breakthrough for yourself in your business? What was it? And you want to place in your calendar the big events or the big milestones for the year. So you want to look at, okay, here I am in December. What are the big things that I'm really committed to accomplishing and taking on in my business this year? What are the big events or the big milestones that I accomplished this year? So if you want to have, we're going to talk about, I'm going to use an example of this fitness company called San Diego Fitness Elite. This is not a real company, but this is a similar to what I have been working on with a client of mine. So you want to plan for what would be the big opportunities for growth in my business for the entire year. Okay. So this is all going to tie in together all at the same time. So planning for the year, let's say, I want to go back to the first slide. Let's say that here we are in March, right? And in May, you want to have a fitness boot camp, because you know that having a fitness boot camp, like a big workshop fitness boot camp, would be just a huge breakthrough for your business, right? And then let's say that in July, excuse me, let's say that in July, one of the things that you want to do is you want to travel to Houston. I'm just using this as an example. Let's say that you want to travel to Houston and you want to lead an event for personal trainers. And the event for the personal trainers is on really learning how to train in a particular form. Or let's just say that in December, you want to have a big end of the year celebration for your business. It's one of the things that you want to do. And have everybody in your company or everybody that you do business with, all your clients, no matter how big or small your company is, whether it's a small get-together or a big get-together, it's something that really matters to you and you'd like to have that in December. So you want to walk yourself through every single month and what are the big highlights of that month? What are the big things that that forwarded your business in that way? You also want to include big events for your life as well when you're calendaring your strategic plan. So you are your business, right? It's important that, of course, you take care of your life and that you put the big events. So if you're going to get married in December, you're going to want to put in there, okay, I'm getting married this week. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks or 3 weeks in December. I need to block that off in my calendar. What kind of work do I need to do ahead of time to make sure that I can afford to take that time off in that time, which is what we're going to talk in our quarterly aspect of it. When you're planning for your yearly items, you're creating. This is creating, standing in anything is possible. You can have anything that you're committed to having, standing there, right? What would you do? So if you're standing that anything's possible and you're creating your entire year, you're looking at December 31st, what were the biggest things that I conquered? That's what you would take your year into account. I love using a paper calendar when I do this. I really do. I love being able to see it because I'm such a visual learner, taking it, going through each month, circling things, saying, you know, this is my birthday week, or this is the week where I am leading this webinar, or on this day here, I'm making connections with people, or on this day, this product is launching and we're launching this big video campaign on this day. Those are the things that you would want to do when you're planning for your yearly strategic plan. So your quarterly targeting session, I'm going to be using an example of planning for your second quarter of this year. I mean, it really happens to be so perfect that we're about to start the second quarter, and it's really a perfect opportunity for those of you that haven't planned in this way for you to start to plan in this way. So you want to look here at this calendar and you want to focus on April through June. That's the quarter, and you want to grab your calendar after you've planned for your entire year, and you want to say, okay, I'm looking at my count. When I planned for my year, I looked at the year and I see that in the second quarter, I already have planned these big things. So you want to look and see, and you want to pull those big events and those big milestones, and we're going to begin to work with those. You want to have created for yourself at least 3 different pathways to having your events and milestones come to life. This includes as well anything that could get in the way as well. One of the things that you want to notice is that I keep pointing to at least in having your events and milestones come to life. You're going to find that for me, one of the biggest pathways, and I stress this with every single person that I work with, one of the biggest pathways to expanding your business as an entrepreneur is by doing it through events. Having events, whether they be for a fitness person or whether they be for somebody who has a specific product, it's one of those things where people get to see you live, and not only that, but people get to hear your story. Every single person, including yourself, you've got a story to share with the world. And the person that can share in the business world, where with entrepreneurs, the person that can share their story the loudest, the person that can have their story be the most inspirational, the story that touches people's lives, that touches people's heart, is the one that wins. So I am a massive fan that as you begin to create your business, that your biggest opportunity for growth in your business is going to be by having events and milestones. So milestones can be anything else that you're committed to creating with your company or with your business. I personally highly recommend doing events. And later on this year, I will be leading a specific program on how to powerfully bring an event to life, how to powerfully share your story in a very powerful way that will attract clients and will attract big revenues for your business. But with this specifically, start to look at April, May, and June. What are the at least 3 different pathways that would have your event come to life? So let's take, for example, San Diego Fitness Elite. You'll notice that every quarter is going to start here, right? So this is week 1 of the first quarter, week ending April 3rd. I always end my weeks on a Friday, so I'm going to use this as an example. You don't have to do it this way, but this is only the first 5 weeks of the first quarter. The first 5 weeks of the first quarter, I'm specifically using this because you can see here that we're going to be working on the next 5 weeks next. That's what we're working on next, right? So San Diego Fitness Elite is a company of a personal trainer. This personal trainer is an entrepreneur. He's recently decided that he's going to have his own personal training company. This target file, this page, this sheet, is specifically intended for acquiring one-on-one private clients. So how I would structure this is the company name. This is very similar to how I do this with my clients. And then this is the week. So this is week 1, week ending April 3rd. The big events or big milestones for this week are that he leads a class on Mondays. A group training class is what he does on Mondays, right? So that's important to note, because if he's teaching a group class on Mondays, that's where he's getting himself out there. It's where he's getting to meet people. If you're with whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to want to have opportunities for people to get to know you. And that's what this would be the case. His 3 pathways for fulfilling on his 3 acquiring new private clients would be through workshops. That's one event. His classes, that's a second event. His classes that he's doing on Mondays, as you can see, in the week of 17th of April, he's going to be training people on Tuesday and Wednesday in a group class. And then any incoming, which are any types of referrals, anybody that says, this guy that trains with San Diego Fitness Elite, his company, he's an amazing personal trainer. You've got to train with him. So let's just go through each specific tab, each specific section, the top section. This personal trainer, again, you want to customize this to you. This personal trainer would put in here what he's doing. In the first week, he's leading a group class on Monday at the beach, let's say. Week 2, same thing, consistent Monday group class at the beach. But then the 3rd week of the quarter, he's changing it up. In the 3rd week of the quarter, he's doing a Tuesday and a Wednesday class that week, group class at a gym. Back-to-back days, that's what he's doing. 4th week of the quarter, he's going on vacation. That entire week, he's on vacation. And then in the 5th week, so the 1st week of May, last week of April, he's leading a workshop called Jump to Fit Workshop. I just made that up. But that's the workshop that he's leading. Week 1 through 5, week ending April 3rd through week ending May 1st. Let's look at the section for workshops. So one of the pathways for him to fill and acquire new one-on-one private clients is through workshops. Okay, so the gray section is what he's promising. It's his word to himself. He's saying, okay, here I am. I want to have new private clients in the 2nd quarter. I'm committed to acquiring 20 private one-on-one clients. How am I going to do this? Well, one pathway is going to be by having a workshop, an event where people get to experience you firsthand and people have an opportunity to sign up for your personal one-on-one training. Excellent. So it wouldn't make sense for him to plan and promise himself that he's going to have new private clients weeks 1 through 4 because he hasn't had the workshop. The workshop's going to fill his private clients, right? But in week 5, when he has that workshop, Here you can see that he's promising himself and his business acquiring 10 new private one-on-one clients. That would be that section. Section 2, Pathway 2, classes. He leads a class on Monday, on Tuesday, and Wednesday. The first 3 weeks of the quarter, he's going full on training and group classes on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays on different times of the week. One of the things that he's causing while he's leading that class is not only training people in the class so that they get value for themselves, but at the same time, he's giving people an opportunity to acquire new private clients. So he's going to promise himself every single week that he's teaching a class that he's going to acquire at least one new private client. That's every single week. The third pathway is incomings. Now, you want to ask yourself, you might be asking yourself, why would somebody promise themselves some type of incoming referral to them? That doesn't make any sense. Referrals just come in when they come in, whether you like it or not. Well, yes, that's true. And at the same time, you want to be planning for this type of work. So you want to think of it like this. If you're actively providing people the kind of value that you have to provide, and it really is a top-notch value for what you have to provide, being that you're someone that is responsible for and in fact causing what you're causing with your business, you could actually take the case that you are going to have incoming referrals. And you want to be you want to have your attention actively on having those incoming referrals. So you want to promise yourself that. I'm going to promise myself 0 this week, 1 next week, 0 week 3, 1 the following week. Just because you can. So there you have it. You can now say that in the first 5 weeks, you're promising 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 new private clients within the first 5 weeks of the second quarter. This is what you would do. You want to develop a tab on Excel or on Google Sheets for each revenue stream for your business. Yes, what we just did was for one revenue stream as an entrepreneur. For San Diego Fitness Elite, that happened to be private one-on-one clients, right? These are your promises and not to be changed once completed. So when you work on developing your quarterly targeting session with yourself, right? And you're looking at your entire quarter and you're looking at all the different revenue streams. So you have your private one-on-one clients, another tab for this person, for example, that you would want to do is you would want to have a separate tab for your workshop. How many people are actually registered to participate in your workshop? If you want to have 10 new people, 10 new private one-on-one clients, you're going to have to do some work for that. How many people are going to have to be there, right? So you want to have different streams with which you're generating revenue, whether that be live in person, whether it be through social media, whether it be through a product campaign, whatever it is that you're doing. This is what you promise yourself once a quarter. So you want to do this, like I said in the previous tab, 5 weeks before the new quarter starts. Now, I get it if you haven't done this type of work for your business, and here we are we're about to end the first quarter and walk into the second quarter, no problem. But for your third quarter, you want to plan for this 5 weeks out so that you can begin to see what's coming down the pike. We're going to talk about the importance of 5-week planning in just a minute. So before you submit this and have this be final, that these are your promises, this is what you promised once a quarter, you want to review your promises with your coach before making it final. Again, if you do not have a coach for your business or for the areas of your life that matter to you, I highly recommend this. I highly recommend that you have a coach or that you have somebody to mentor you or somebody to hold your promises, somebody that's going to hold you in a big, big, big context. It's critical that you have a coach or a mentor in the areas of your life that really matter to you and that are really important to you. You then want to update this target file weekly. So you want to notice that the white section here is to be updated every single week. So let's say that you have your workshop and it's week 5, right? You have the workshop. What you would put in here at the end of that week, so on May 1st, Friday at the end of the day, or whether it be May 2nd, Saturday when you update this, and let's say that you had 11 people, you acquired 11 new private clients, you would put the number 11 there instead of 10. You want to track your progress. Same thing. Let's say if you only acquired 5 new private clients and it's a breakdown that happened, well, then you want to put that in there so that you can see this. It's important that you track your historical data in this way. Historical data is going to be your best friend when it comes to planning strategically for what it is that you're giving your word to and for what it is that you're planning for the future. Okay, so far we've covered creating what you're committed to accomplishing for the entire year and doing that far out in advance. You can do it now for 2016, or you can do it at the end of your 4th quarter and start to plan for your year. It depends on the kind of business that you have, how big you're committed to accomplishing something. So for example, if you're sitting here right now and one of the things that you're going to do is you're going to have a massive conference in February of 2016. That's something that you would want to start to plan for now, right? Or if you were going to be launching a huge product campaign, you're going to want to, and you're going to launch it in March of 2016. You're going to want to start to plan for that. You're going to want to start to plan your year for 2016. Or let's say that you're going to open up your own facility or you're going to open up your own location. You're going to want to plan for this stuff now for 2016. Same thing. So that's what we've gotten on so far for the year. We're going to move on to we moved on to the quarterly, excuse me, and we talked about really planning your entire 2nd quarter, then your 3rd quarter, your 4th quarter, your 1st quarter, and breaking it down week to week. So I've taken all the big events, I've taken everything that I'm accomplishing, everything that I'm committed to from my calendar. I'm now importing all those things into my 2nd quarter where it applies, and I'm breaking it down into each week, right? And I'm breaking it down into what's feeding my business, the different revenue streams. What are those things? And what am I promising myself in each category? We're now moving on to beginning to plan for your next 5 weeks. This meeting takes place every week where you start to plan for what is happening in the next 5 weeks. I do want to stress another point here. You want to plan this meeting with your team. So if you have a team of people that you work with, you want to do this with those people. If you don't have a team of people that you do this with, but you do have a mentor or you do have a coach, then I recommend that you do this with those people. Really start to have somebody that holds you to your word, that listens to you as your word. I mean, for myself personally, it's so important that what I promise myself gets created with somebody else, with my coach, because when it gets created with them, I now know that it exists someplace other than with myself. So the importance and the objective of planning for the next 5 weeks is not only are you planning and working on your immediate future, so for example, not only are you working on what's happening this week or next week, but what's coming at you quickly. So you always want to be focused on and working on what's coming at you in the next 5 weeks, because the future, the immediate future, and the future, like the next 5 weeks, is coming to you so fast. Before you know it, bam, there it is, 5 weeks. Like right now, we're walking into the 2nd quarter, and it's already here. If you fall behind, you need to do whatever you need to do to catch up, but never lose sight, excuse me, this is a typo, never drop the ball on the work that needs to happen for the next 5 weeks, okay? So, I talk to people sometimes, and like, let's just, I don't want to talk too much about my clients here, but I more just want to talk about this example because it's the same thing, happens with everybody, happens with me. You work on your quarter, right? And you create your entire quarter and you have a breakdown. Let's say San Diego Fitness Elite has a breakdown with in their workshop, and this personal trainer only acquires 5 new clients on a promise of 10. He's now short 5 new clients. He's now fallen behind on his promise for the entire quarter. Yes, in this meeting, you can either create how you're going to catch up in the next 5 weeks, or you can create how you're going to catch up this week, and you do whatever you need to do that work. However, you do not drop the ball on the work that needs to happen for the next 5 weeks. So if now all of a sudden you have to spend so much time acquiring new people, maybe you need to teach another class, it's taking away from your time, okay, then you need to do that. But at the same time, you need to be responsible for the work that needs to be done in the next 5 weeks. Or for another example, let's say that starting now in the next 5 weeks, this personal guy, this personal trainer is leading that workshop, but he's dealing with the breakdown right now because he's fallen behind with the number of clients that he's supposed to have acquired. That person still needs to focus on filling that workshop and having the number of people that need to be there such that the workshop is successful. You want to keep your eye on the ball for the future for the next 5 weeks. This meeting does that. So for example, when San Diego Fitness Elite is meeting with this team on Friday, March 27th, he will notice that in his 5th week, his workshop is promised 10 new clients. So he's doing this planning this week here. Before he walks into the first week of the quarter, March 27th, he sits down with himself and his team, or with himself and his coach, and he says, okay, so in the next 5 weeks, I'm now looking at May 1st. Oh, I'm having my workshop and I'm promising 10 new clients there. I'm not having any classes that week. I don't have any referrals promised that week. Okay, so that's my biggest week of the quarter, or that's my biggest week in the next 5 weeks. So what do I need to do now to have that happen? So with that means that planning for the next 5 weeks always gives you actions to take this week and the weeks to follow. If out of your 5-week planning meeting, out of your 5-week strategy meeting, you don't have actions to take, you didn't do the planning right. You want to come out of your meeting, out of your 5-week meeting, with actions to take, specific actions. Contact Sally Joe. Create flyers. Start social media campaign. Have a call with my coach to identify any breakdown in performance. Sell this many tickets, or go to the Encinitas Wellness Week and get my brand noticed. Or, you should have all these actions to take when you're looking at the next 5 weeks. If you're looking at week 5 and you see this workshop and you say, great, that's what's happening in the next 5 weeks. Awesome, let me work on this week. No. You should, at that point, when you see what's happening or coming down the pike in the next 5 weeks, you should be able to have yourself organized around what actions do I need to take. Planning 5 weeks out is what starts to build your business, start to build a momentum in your business and an eventual stability. Planning for the next 5 weeks, eventually what you want to have created is that your 5th week is so shored up. It's so going to be in the bag, so that you can look at your week 5 and you can say, yep, I'm going to have 10 new clients that week for sure, because of the work that I've been doing. the week before. So like the week before the workshop happens, you're not stressed out. You're not panicked because the work has been done 5 weeks out, sometimes even more. That's the kind of work that your 5-week strategy meeting should be doing. It begins to create that kind of momentum and the kind of stability and peace of mind that you're looking for. It also allows for you to deal with any emergencies or breakdowns that you realize that you didn't realize when you were targeting months out. So let's just use this as an example. Let's say that you're planning, that you're having your 5-week planning meeting, and you're now planning for the end of May, right? And you notice that there's now an emergency or a breakdown with something that you didn't think about when you were doing your targeting, your quarterly targeting. You can now encounter this breakdown weeks out. You might notice that, wow, you know what? I promised myself that I was going to teach these classes and that I was going to have this many people participating in the classes. But now that I'm doing this, I see that I targeted too high and that's not really going to happen. Well, that's a real breakdown, an emergency. And you can now deal with that, dealing with this 5 weeks out instead of dealing with it week to week. So let's do a quick, summary of what we've covered with your yearly and your quarterly and your 5-week planning sessions here. So with regards to your yearly, you like I said, you create everything for the entire year. Then you break it up into quarters, and you're always working on the next quarter. So right now we're planning for quarter number 2. And you take all your big opportunities, all your events, everything that you're committed to be working for, that starts to get plugged into your quarterly. Then every 5 weeks, you deal with what's coming down the pike. You deal with what's happening. What do I need to be responsible for? What actions do I have to create in the next 5 weeks that need to be put into my calendar so that I can deal with what's coming down the pike in a very powerful manner? That's what we've done so far in brief summary. Now we're getting into your weekly. Excuse me. Every single week, excuse me, every single week, you're starting to plan for what's coming this week. So let's say that here you are and you do, I always like to do my planning work on Saturdays. My weekends on a Friday. I do my planning work on Saturday. I have a specific set time every single week to plan for what's coming this week. So you might have one day dedicated to forecasting. So I like to call my weekly planning work forecasting. I like to call my quarterly planning work targeting, and then my 5-week planning meeting. So you want to have one day dedicated to forecasting and creating your week. Now, this does not have to be an entire day, but it does have to be a sufficient amount of time to where you see yourself being able to keep your promise that week. Sometimes I do about an hour of planning. Other times I spend 3, sometimes 4 hours planning that week because I don't see myself to keeping that promise that week. So I have to keep working on what I have to keep working on to plan, and until I see myself having accomplished what I gave my word to accomplish. Forecasting is you look at your week, you look at your targeting sheets at the different revenue streams for your targeting, and you start to tell the truth. So if we're in the middle of May, life looks differently in the middle of May than what life looked like right now. Or let's just say that you're going to plan for your week right now. Let's say that here we are, March 7th, and you're planning for the 2nd week of March. If you did this work right and you were planning in, let's say, the last weeks of December for your incoming quarter, the last week of December and what you had promised yourself that you were going to take on probably looks very different than what it looks like right now. So this is your opportunity to tell the truth. if you've targeted and you promised yourself that you were going to, let's say, acquire, I'm going to continue to use this fitness example, that you acquired, that you were going to do, let's say 5 new clients because things were looking a particular way in December. And here you are, and you're going into your week, and you're thinking to yourself, there's absolutely no way that I'm going to acquire 5 new private one-on-one clients this week. There's just no way that's going to happen. Well, this is an opportunity for you to tell the truth about it and say, okay, I'm not going to do that. This is your chance to either say, I'm not going to do that, and here's how I'm going to make it up. What's important here is that you always keep your quarterly promises so that you know yourself as someone that is in fact their word. You do in fact keep your promises when it comes to planning for your quarter. And then you build how you keep your promise every quarter is you keep your promise every single week. But let's say that this week's a real breakdown and you're just simply not going to keep your promise. Well, then what you want to be doing is you want to be at that point creating for yourself, how am I now going to fulfill on my promise so that I can, how am I going to, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over my words here. When you tell the truth, if you're not going to be keeping your promise this week and you look at, okay, I'm not going to acquire 5 new clients, I'm only going to do 2. That's telling the truth. I'm only going to acquire 2. So that leaves you 3 behind. You're either going to deal with that in weeks, the following weeks coming up, or what you're going to do is you're going to create new opportunities for you to keep your promise this week. This is an example of what it looks like for you visual learners, and here's how I do this with my clients. The top section, San Diego Fitness Elite, is the targeting. Okay, we've seen that already. But then there's your forecast file. Your forecast file is a different tab. It's what you work on daily. So quarterly, this is quarterly, updated weekly. Forecast file is weekly, updated daily. San Diego Fitness Elite, week ending 4/3. This is the first week of the second quarter. Saturday, he's off. Monday, he teaches a class. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, he's working on following up with the people that attended the class. He's working on selling tickets for the workshop. So this breaks down everything that's coming down the pike, everything that you need to tend to in a weekly basis. So if he's having a workshop, well, he's going to have to sell tickets for the workshop, even if they're free. You want to target for that. You want to forecast for that. So here we are. We have the workshop tickets. Saturday, he's not selling any tickets on Saturday because he's off. All right, no problem. Tuesday, he leads the class. He's going to talk to people about the workshop. So that's what you want to be doing on Monday. Then here you are on Tuesday. Tuesday, he doesn't sell any workshop tickets. Wednesday, he's selling the workshop tickets. He's going to sell 1 ticket here. Tuesday, no tickets. Friday, he sells another ticket. So that week, you've now sold 4 tickets in your forecasting week. When you start forecasting your week, you're like, okay, this week, here I need to sell 4 tickets. How I'm going to sell those tickets is I'm going to do it this way: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, then you start looking at, well, this week, I have a promise to acquire this week between my classes and my referrals 2, 4, 5, 6 new private clients, right? So of those 6 new private clients, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I'm looking at the whole week. So if you're looking at your first week, this is week ending April 3rd, I promised 2 new clients. When am I going to have those 2 new clients? Okay, well, I'm not working on Saturday, but on Monday, I'm going to acquire 1 person for my classes because I said that here, that one of the ways that 1 person's going to come from is my classes. Bam, I'm going to plug it in on Monday. And then I said that I was going to have a referral this week. Well, where am I going to have that referral? I'm promising myself that somehow that's going to get caused on Tuesday. You now have forecasted and created your week. let's say that you're dealing with this breakdown this week, right? And you have forecasted 2 new private one-on-one clients. Now you've forecasted 2 private new one-on-one clients, but you're looking at this now and you're saying to yourself, you know what? Truth is, I've been having very low attendance in my classes. I can't promise that I'm going to have a new private client for my class that week. So I'm going to say 0 for that week. So you would put 0 in here and 1 for incoming. That would mean that you would have accomplished 1 on a promise of 2. And now you've done 1 on a promise of 2, then you're either going to make that 1 up in a different week, or you're somehow going to find a way to cause that to happen in this week. So that is your weekly forecasting session. You can break this down in many different ways. Your forecast file may have 7 different streams. You may have tickets to sell for your workshop. You may be filling your group class, and you may have to have 10 people in your group class starting next week, and you're working on having people say yes to coming. You may have an event that you have coming up in a couple months, and you need to be selling tickets for that event. You may have a webinar or a live thing that you're leading, and you want to start promoting that and having people say yes to that. You may need to sell so much product. You may need to get yourself in a particular, you may have a Kickstarter campaign, for example, and you may need to sell or have so many people donate so much money, and you need to have 5 people donate or 5 people buy your product on Kickstarter. So you're going to start to plan for that. This forecast file is not limited to 1 or 2 sections, but rather it encompasses all of the different streams of income or revenue that your business needs to generate. It breaks it down into a weekly session, into a week-to-week, day-to-day thing. This gets updated daily. So on Monday, if you promised yourself to sell 2 workshop tickets and you sold 2 workshop tickets, you would put a 2 there. And if you acquired that 1 new client, you would put a 1 there. So you want to be keeping your promise. You want to know yourself as someone that keeps your promise for the entire year. You want to know yourself as someone that keeps your promise for the entire quarter, quarter to quarter. And you want to know yourself as someone that keeps their promise every week, week to week. How you're going to keep your promise every week, week to week, is by breaking down keeping your promise day to day. So we're getting smaller and smaller and smaller here. That's your weekly forecasting session. So now we've created the year. You've now done the work that you needed to do every quarter. You're now doing the work that you're doing daily. You're now doing the work that you need to, the work that you're needed to be doing every 5 weeks. You do the work that you need to do every week. Now you're getting yourself into the place where you need to do the work, the kind of planning work that's required every single day. So where you start when you start to plan your work is you start by doing your forecast file. And you need to see, when you start to create your forecast file, where are you at for the week? So you walk into your Tuesday, you pull up your forecast file and you say, okay, my Monday class was awesome. I just really want to acknowledge myself. I just did an amazing job in my class and I acquired 1 new client. I'm super excited. Today, my promise for the day is to have 1 incoming referral. What am I going to do to cause an incoming referral coming in? Am I going to contact my clients, ask them how it's going, ask them if they know anybody that they want to train with? So many different ways, right? You want to ask yourself, am I on track? So are you on track for what you've promised yourself this week? What can I do to get ahead? So what can you do to get ahead this week? Let's say that you have a huge breakthrough, right? This week, you acquire 3 clients in your class on a promise of 1, and you have 4 incoming referrals. Whoa, you're totally ahead. What can you do to keep the momentum going, right? That's what you want to do. Ask yourself every single day, are you empowered? Does your performance show any loss of power? These are the things that you want to ask yourself. You want to look at your performance, and if you're continuing to produce the same results that you've promised to produce, then you must be empowered. Or maybe you're producing those results, but the experience of yourself is not one of aliveness and self-expression, so you're not really super empowered. Well, that's what you want to ask yourself. Are you empowered every single day? Does your performance show any loss of power? And you want to develop a system that works for you. For me personally, a bubble sheet works great. So, for example, I say to myself, today I'm going to create 5 new relationships. I'm just going to talk to 5 new people, and I'm going to create having 1 new client, 1 new private client for myself of people that really want to train, and that's what I'm going to do. Or one of the things that I want to do is I'm going to fill my class that's starting next Monday. So I'm just going to start contacting people and seeing if the people that came last week are going to come. For every single person that says yes, I color in a bubble. I color in a circle. That system works great for me daily. You may want to have a system that is different for you, but develop a system for yourself where you can keep yourself, make sure that you got yourself on track. So that completes the work that we were doing for the different things that you're going to be doing. Your yearly, your quarterly, your 5 weeks, your daily, your weekly, and your daily. Each one of these sections, they work hand in hand. So it's important that you really do the work with all of them. That you don't skip doing the type of planning work that you want to be doing just because you didn't get it right. So don't rob yourself of planning for 2015 if you never did that. Do that work, even if it's only for the next couple of months. Don't rob yourself of not doing the work that you need to do for the next 5 weeks. That's critical. Each particle is critical in doing that kind of work. So in our next and final session of this webinar, we're going to get into management, relationships, and execution. The 3 final components of launching your business into a new playing field. Don't miss out on those next sessions. The next session. This week, you really want to begin to plan your work for the rest of 2015 if you haven't already done so. And if you did do that work, take a second look at it. Make sure that it's really powerful. It's an expression of what you really want. And start to plan for your second quarter. If you haven't planned for your second quarter, highly recommend you do that. And just have an amazing weekend. I really want to say thank you so much for those of you that participated in the webinar today. Thank you so much for having taken the time to participate. I want you to know that for me, leading this webinar, educating entrepreneurs with what they're taking on in their business, having their businesses be successful, it is something that is super enlivening to me. It fills me up. I leave having led this webinar elated, on like cloud 9, super empowered, having known that I made a profound difference in your life with what you're taking on. I promise you, taking this strategy work to heart and really doing the work will expand your capacity to make a bigger difference with what you're doing with your business. We didn't go into full depth with everything in this particular session because it wasn't customized to your business. That's your job. Your job is to customize this to your business in that manner. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message. And that's it. Thank you so much, guys. Have an amazing weekend.